Once you find yourself in conflict with a narcissist, it's a virtual guarantee they're going to start playing head games with you. That's why I put together a new course. It's very extensive called Anger Games. I'm going to teach you how to manage anger and conflict with a narcissist. There's a link below that's going to show you how to register, and I hope that you find it to be very insightful. There's no question about it that a life with rich connections is far more desirable than a life where you have no connection whatsoever to other individuals. That's why developing characteristics like love and respect and encouragement are so vital. You'll notice here on Team Healthy that when I talk with you about the topic of narcissism, I do so with the idea that says, let's understand what that pattern is like so that we can get into the better alternative. Now, at the very heart of healthy connections is the characteristic of empathy. And when we talk about empathy, we talk about the willingness and the ability to see the other individual's point of view from their perspective. As they have emotions or feelings or preferences or curiosities, you can step inside their world with them and say, I'd like to know you on a fuller basis. Now, to me, when you have something like that, then it's going to lead to the possibility for harmony. It means that you're willing to invest in the other individuals. And in the end, I'm hoping there can be a sense of unity that comes inside the relationship. And I'm going to pick up on that word unity in just a moment. Now, the best way for me to describe how empathy can work, even in the midst of differences, is to bring you into a thought about what an orchestra is like. In an orchestra, they're playing the same piece of music, but a violin will never sound the same as a trumpet, which will never sound the same as an oboe, which will never sound the same as a snare drum. Each of those different instruments are coming from a very different place, but they have a piece of music that you're trying to play together, and in the end, they can take their differences and they can learn to blend. That's the sense of unity. Now, the beginning point for a narcissist that inhibits their ability to have empathy is they have an insistence upon uniformity. You'll notice that uniformity is quite different than unity. Narcissists, in their insistence upon uniformity, say, the only kind of person that I can or will relate with is somebody who thinks like me. And as a result, they approach relationship with an attitude of exclusivity as opposed to inclusivity. In other words, the people in my club are only the ones that think exclusively like me. They have a closed system of thinking. They don't have an attitude of openness. I'd like to know more. They have easy judgment. When you come along with your differentness, they don't accept you. They find ways to scorn you. They're going to be very critical in the way that they engage with others, especially in the midst of differences. They don't really have an inclination or even a need or even a thought towards affirming. These individuals will erupt with anger whenever things don't go their way. They don't have the patience, the ability for patience. They're defensive. When you show yourself to be different, they become offensive. They're not receptive. They throw their walls up very easily. They're egocentric as opposed to open-minded. In other words, thinking, well, I want to focus on who you are. It's like, nope, the only person I focus on is me. They're conceited in the way that they engage with you. They lack a sense of humility. Now, sometimes that conceit can come off in a real haughty way where there's a great deal of hubris there, and sometimes it's just a quiet conceit. I'm better than you, and you just don't seem to appreciate that. And then, in addition, they're very biased in the way that they interpret facts. They interpret facts with a confirmation bias as opposed to being fair-minded. So you can see that all of that just makes them impossible to engage with because their insistence upon uniformity inhibits the ability of unity, which is harmony. Now, let's take this just a step further. Not only do we want to have a sense of unity in our relationships, But when we have a sense of empathy, it can take you to yet another characteristic, and that would be the characteristic of compassion, which again is something that narcissists, in their insistence upon uniformity, they won't go into that. When we talk about having compassion, we're talking about being proactive in choosing kindness. We're talking about moving toward other individuals in their moments of distress. How can I help you? As opposed to, oh, what a bother you are. We're talking about taking action, hopefully to bring healing to another person's trauma or difficulty. When we have compassion, it means that there's going to be an ongoing willingness to affirm, and it's the real deal. It's not just phony trying to get you on their team. The compassionate individuals will show gratitude, and they'll champion the good fortune for other individuals because they just like being somebody that says, let me see if I can lift you up. And again, empathy with compassion is a wonderful way to approach relationships. But again, the narcissist's insistence upon uniformity implies, look, if you're not going to show loyalty to me, then I don't want to mess with you. I'm at my best when you're loyal. But actually, the better word to use instead of loyalty would be fealty. And when I say fealty, you're loyal to the extent that you're willing to lay down your own distinction and just go along with whatever the narcissist says. That's what they want. That's what their uniformity requires. That being the case, when you engage with a narcissist, they approach you with what we would refer to as a fix-it mentality. When they see you as being different, they don't go in and say, how can I know you? It's like, let me tell you how you need to be. And they'll give you unsolicited advice. They become angry when you don't receive that unsolicited advice. By the way, you may recall my psychological math, unsolicited advice equals criticism. That's all it is, plain and simple. They don't say, how can I understand you more fully? Who are you? Or how are you? And how might I support you? That kind of thinking does not even cross their mind because in their narcissism, with their self-centeredness, etc., it just doesn't occur to them. I don't need to empathize with you. I need to make you in the image of me. Narcissists lack the ability for empathy. They have the insistence upon uniformity because they come from a fear-based sense of self-protection. In their fear-based self-protection, then it leads them to being controlling over you and domineering and forceful in the way that they engage. And then that sets them up for lots of anger and agitation and irritability. As long as they can make you conform, then they're okay. But in the absence of that, it's like, no, you need to get on my page. Sometimes we can say, how can I tune into you? Narcissists think, how can I get you to tune into me? And so you can see again, that's the formula for relationship disaster. Narcissists have abandoned any kind of hope for true connection because they have no capacity for trust. They don't trust you, and frankly, they're not very trustworthy themselves because they're so committed to their false self. They're so committed to their alternate reality that, and then all the phoniness that goes along with it, that you just simply can't build any kind of hard base to make that heart-to-heart connection. Instead, what they seek is codependent kind of reactions from you, and that because that's where they're operating from. In other words, they're thinking, I want you to prop me up. Please, I need you to make me feel good about myself so that I can move on down the road. And many of them, in their brash and harsh and strong anger, can come across as anything but codependent. But make no mistake, there's just that empty shell of a human being on the inside that says, I've got to have you out there to make me feel good, which is why they're so willing to tell you what to do so that you can do their bidding and make them feel like they want to feel. Now, I'm hoping you can see that empathy itself is an extremely rich characteristic. And then when you carry it to the next level of compassion, and then you seek harmony and unity, and again, learning how to blend towards a common goal, that can be a really good way to manage relationships. But you can see that narcissist is like, no, I don't do that, because you see that requires a certain amount of immersion into another person's heart and soul, and I don't do that. I'm transactional only. As long as you are doing what I want you to do, you and I are good, and so that's all they can do. They can only stay functional, and that's the extent of their relationship. So as you see this in the narcissist, adjust your expectations, and rather than thinking, why can't I get you to just know me and understand me and blend with me? Just go bang your head against the brick wall, because you're not going to get very far. Instead, realize these individuals are broken from the inside out. They haven't really moved much beyond pre-adolescent thinking, especially when it comes to conflict management and learning how to blend with differences. So instead, I'm hoping you can seek the company of individuals who do understand that you can have harmony in the midst of difference, and it's built upon knowing and understanding each other quite nicely. When narcissists are required to try to come to terms with differences, they just unravel. I'm hoping that you and I, as we encounter differences, we can become curious. There's one question that you can ask others in the midst of your differences, and that is, how can you and I know each other better in this moment? That thought, that question doesn't even cross the narcissist's mind. Now, I hope that videos like this can give you some good awareness, not only of where the narcissist is coming from, but where you can go and what healthy living looks like. That's what we do here on Team Healthy. So if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. We'll keep more videos coming towards you, and I so appreciate you allowing me to be on your growth journey with you. Now, I know that many of you are aware that one of my primary sponsors is the good people at BetterHelp.com. They're an online therapy resource, and when you're dealing with something like this, there are times when you think, I could use somebody that could help me unravel this. I could use a therapist. And so you could go beneath the video here and go to the link, answer a few questions, and then you get to select a therapist that could help you. And it can be so invigorating for you to know that somebody does want to have empathy with you, and they can help you move forward in that kind of direction. So please get the help as the need is there. Now, on my website, we have access to my courses. Each course has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts. We have anger games, This Is Me, free to be, Ready, Set, Connect, and we have links below the video here for that, but they're also on the website. Also on my website, we have access to my webinars, which are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations of a very different nature, and all of these have proven to be very popular, and they require some work from you on the side, and along with my articles and access to my podcast, my books. So we have lots of resources for you, and please avail yourself to that as the need is there. Like I say, a healthy way of life is one that includes empathy and the willingness to connect with other individuals. And it's going to be especially seen when there's differences or even conflict. That's when you're going to really know how healthy an individual is. I'm hoping you can lean into that space, and I hope that it helps you be able to identify others who can reciprocate. The narcissist isn't going to be on that reciprocation list, and so let's keep that in mind. But as you go towards the much better alternatives, I'm hoping you find yourself more and more of a steady individual who's then able to move towards your place of internal peace.